Welcome back. One of the fallouts of the insurgency in the northeastern part of the country is a rise in the number of orphaned children. These minors living in internally displaced persons camps in Yobe, Adamawa and Borno states are being catered for by the government and in some cases relatives. Our big story tonight takes a look at their plight.
Is the difference. Nothing tastes like my Indomie.
The touching story of displaced children in the northeastern part of the country, many of them orphaned because of the insurgency, remains a crisis that needs careful attention. Following the return of normalcy to areas liberated from Boko Haram by the Nigerian military, a humanitarian issue has arisen in states such as Adamawa, with about 868 children living in the Malkohi camp. 14-year-old Bakura Modu is one of such orphaned children. His father was killed by Boko Haram and his mother died in the IDP camp, leaving him to fend for his younger siblings. His teary eyes speak more than his words. Mr. Nicholas Samuel has been in the camp for about 4 years. He applauds the efforts of the National Emergency Management Agency in caring for the unaccompanied children.
When these unaccompanied children arrived in this camp, their condition was pitiable. They were separated by NEMA since they'll need special attention. NEMA takes very good care of them beyond what you can imagine.
The Borno State government authorities puts the number of unaccompanied children living in camps for internally displaced persons at least 52,000. The United Nations Children's Emergency Management Fund, UNICEF, continues to help the government in dealing with the humanitarian crisis.
The solution that we recommend always is to put them back into families, and we do not encourage or support institutionalizing children, because research has shown that the best interest of children is when they are with families. So if their immediate families are not there, we try and identify, support the government identify families that can accommodate those children in their houses and where the government supports them. But it's the Ministry of Social Welfare that is responsible for it, and we provide support for that.
The situation in Yobe State is less grim for some children orphaned by the insurgency. They are being taken care of by relatives and some concerned individuals with the support of the government.
Because of the nature of the movement of the IDP, the displacement nature of the Yobe State, is a community that moves in unison, such that it has maintained its social cohesion within itself. If a father dies, automatically the next members of the family take charge. So you cannot find a nucleus of orphans, groups, abandoned or needing the support of government. However, by extension, the government has certain structures that supports orphans.
An orphanage established by the wife of a former governor in the state has a growing number of orphans admitted because of the corresponding increase in the number of orphaned children. Some of the orphans make a spirited appeal.
In this insurgency, there is so many orphans that are not schooling. So if the government assists this school in terms of financially, I know this the younger one that are not admitted into the school, they will be, inshallah, they will be admitted.
Children in negative circumstances through no fault of theirs shall be protected by the federal and state government in the absence of parents or guardians. For these orphan children, who are a national asset, that responsibility lies with the government to continue to pursue a path that protects these vulnerable citizens.
Taste is the difference. Nothing tastes like my Indomie.
And that's our big story tonight. Flour Mills Nigeria PLC has posted a revenue of 524 billion naira for the year ended 31st March 2017, representing a 53% growth in the company's performance over the previous year. This and other results were released at the group's 57th annual general meeting, which took place in Lagos. Its chairman, Mr. John Kumantaros, told the shareholders that they are determined to continue to work assiduously to mitigate the effects of adverse economic conditions on its operations.
It's another time for the shareholders, board and management of Flour Mills Nigeria PLC to gather and assess the company's performance in the last financial year. It's the 57th in the series, and they all seem ready to go.
Closure, register and transfer.
Without much ado, the directors and auditors present their reports while the shareholders listen with rapt attention. In the year under review, the group delivered a revenue of 524 billion naira, while profit after tax is 9 billion naira. 2016 might have been a difficult year for the group, but the directors say they were able to weather the storm and now have some cheering news for the shareholders.
The directors' proposal is a dividend amounting to 2.624253,188 billion naira in respect of and out of accumulated pioneer profits of the company be declared. The proposed dividend incidentally amounts to 1 naira per ordinary share of 50 kobo.
Achieving this result may not have come easy, but strategy appeared to have played a vital role, and the management is willing to do even better.
We expect that the financial year 2017-2018 will be even better than 2016. Operationally, we are taking steps to ensure that we defend our market, we defend market share, we control our costs, and ensure that we do all that we can to add value to the shareholders.
There should be a further plan as to raise chief funds to reduce what the financial cost is taken out of the company. We are talking about 32.2 billion naira. That's a lot of money. That if half of that can come back to the company, they will be able to even pay 3 naira, 4 naira, because what is going out of the company as dividend now is just about less than 3 billion naira. So that's the aspect I'm looking at. But all the same, we are all Oliver Twist, we take and we ask for more.
Incorporated in 1960, Flour Mills Nigeria PLC is one of Nigeria's leading food and agro-allied companies with a broad portfolio and a robust distribution network.
And time for the other business news of today. Here is Anne Wanwodu.
You first. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Ladi. And as business stories, the African Development Bank Group will continue to respond to demands of African government and its private sector customers, particularly Nigeria. That's according to the bank's head of ICT operations, Mr. Nicholas Williams. He says the AFDB is ready to support Nigeria in areas of infrastructure and other projects that would need financing, as the country remains an exciting nation compared with its contemporaries on the continent. The AFDB has also asked the federal government to embrace e-governance and develop the ICT sector. The manufacturing sector contributed about 25% of the latest gross domestic product, and that's the report that eased Nigeria out of recession. Reacting to the scorecard at a meeting, industrialists asked the federal government to quickly implement its economic growth and recovery plan to sustain this.
Nigeria's economic recovery and growth plan, which is a government policy, although in full consultation with the private sector, may have actually done the magic in pulling Nigeria out of recession. If that policy is sustained and even improved upon, involving, like he said, stakeholders, it worked in the first instance because it wasn't just a government policy. It was a government policy that involved the stakeholders. Manufacturers were deeply involved, and that is probably why we are playing the key role today in getting Nigeria out of recession. So such policies, if they're improved upon and implemented fully, will continue to get us out of, to sustain our current state of the economy.
The stock market ended today's session stronger by 1.42% on the back of gains driven by blue-chip stocks in the industrial and consumer goods sectors. Chimebzie Obiwago has more for us.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Investment destination for investors at the Nigerian equities market seems to be shifting as investors move more into the industrial and consumer goods sectors. This sentiment is driven by the perceived stability of those sectors, supported by the latest impressive PMI numbers released on Tuesday. Today, the industrial sector, which gained 2.88%, and the consumer goods, which added 1%, pushed the market further into the green, with the all-share index closing up 1.42%. The value of shares traded was worth 4.16 billion naira, and Nestle was the major contributor, bringing in about 2.5 billion naira. The volume traded was 222.6 million shares, driven by Sterling Bank, Royal Exchange Assurance, and Fidelity Bank. The highest price gainer is Guinness Nigeria, while Seplat lost the most. Traders expect the positive trend to continue on Friday, but at a reduced tempo. And that was the Stock Market Report. I'm Chimebzie Obiwago.
Thanks a lot, Chimebzie. U.S. stocks slipped at the close of trading nearly 2 hours ago after banking stocks took a hit from falling rates. But it's the reverse for European markets following ECB's decision to leave rates unchanged. Here are the market numbers for Thursday. With those numbers, we end business news for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. It's back to you, Laddie.
You first. First Bank.
Thank you, Anne. To increase Nigeria's commitment to universal health coverage and quality care, Hygeia HMO Limited has convened a conference for stakeholders in Lagos. Speakers at the event agreed that healthcare is not cheap, but there is need to overcome the challenge of inadequate funding. The Chief Executive Officer of Hygeia HMO, Obinna Abajoy, said health insurance is the most effective tool to drive financing in the sector, and so everyone must be involved in creating awareness.
Ensuring that Nigeria continually implements a higher level of universal health coverage for its citizenry is important. Having a conversation around the path to achieving this is no less critical, and that's why professionals from across the health sector are present here as Hygeia HMO puts its mouth where its money is.
Health insurance today, whether private or public, is the only universal concept for healthcare financing to deliver affordable care to more people. But we have to drive the awareness, and that responsibility to get more people to know and participate is on all of us that are here.
Health insurance is indeed the only vehicle of finance. But just how many people are covered in Nigeria?
A recent study by the Federal Ministry of Health identified only about 4% of the population covered on any form of protection mechanism, risk protection mechanism for health, leading to over 69% of out-of-pocket payment.
Healthcare is not cheap, but can be made affordable, and everyone should have access.
We want to address universal coverage using our health insurance scheme as a mechanism. And that scheme is to address the issue of access, the issue of quality, effectiveness, and of course financial protection for the poor people.
While the funding gap is being bridged, patient-centered care should also be in the mix.
We need to change that cultural idea and recognize that treating our patients as our employers, giving them the courtesy they demand and the type of service that they deserve is really the basis of whatever care we should be giving.
As the summit winds down, Hygeia HMO is concerned about implementation that brings results. The company has delivered first-class health insurance services in Nigeria since 1986, with managed care schemes providing an outstanding level of health care.
Still ahead on the news at 10, South Africa contemplates appeal against FIFA's decision to order a replay of the 2018 World Cup qualifier against Senegal over alleged manipulation. That'll be in the sports news. Please stay on with us.